Hey everyone, my name's Lillian. I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and this is the third part of my 12 authors, 12 books. I'm now on track. I love to say it. I love to see it. I love to say it. I love to think it. I'm so happy that I went from being so very, very far behind to being actually ahead as of now. So in this one, I read, hold on, I have to get my notepad. I read The Dead and the Dark, which was recommended to me by Tori Bovalino. Tori wrote The Devil Makes Three. Tori also wrote Not Good for Maidens, which is their upcoming release, which is a Goblin Market retelling, a queer fantasy Goblin Market retelling. I love Tori's worlds. I love Tori's sense of fantasy, which is a little bit dark, but also very hopeful. So I knew that I had to read The Dead and the Dark, and this one had that same vibe. So basically what I enjoyed from the first kind of impressions of The Dead and the Dark was that I knew that I was really gonna love Logan as a main character. She's trying to save her family, but also at the end of the day, she's just trying to survive, and this snake bite, that's the name of the town that they're in, super insular, not really gonna change, very homophobic. I felt that that setting was done so well, and so well in a like, oh my god, this kind of sucks, but also so well in the way that it feels super immersive and detail-oriented. And I also felt like in some ways it feels very true to this idea that in a small town, if no one really speaks up and people just leave, they never have to really confront their own beliefs and how wrong and like racist and homophobic they are. So I liked those aspects a lot. And then I really also loved Ashley's perspective. So it's dual perspective in this book. Logan is the one who kind of comes into Snakebite, and I thought that Logan's journey was interesting because what Logan really has to grapple with is what family and what home means. Like, knife to the heart, that is just so relatable. And I really loved watching that theme unfold for Logan and for her to kind of question what it means to be home and what it means for her to have family and kind of what the value of those are. But I also really loved Ashley's perspective. Ashley has been in Snakebite her whole life, and I thought that that perspective of kind of having to question the things around you, the jokes that are being told, your own friends, your own family, your community, I felt like that was also a super important story to tell, to have her kind of really think about what she wants and kind of put aside all of the things that other people have for her and for the town in general. And so that perspective was really actually the one that ended up kind of like capturing my heart, which I did not expect. I thought Logan was going to be my ride or die heroine, and then Ashley came up and I was kind of like, oh, I like. Overall, this kind of creepy YA fantasy story is just fabulous. It is not as creepy, I feel like, as the next one that I'm going to talk about, but it still has this creepy, and it gets creepier, by the way. The tension and the supernatural aspect of this really kind of creep in on you slowly in The Dead and the Dark, but at the end it's kind of like, oh my god, I am now kind of fully in the thick of this cloud of creepiness. But it's not as creepy as the next book, which was Beware the Wild by Natalie C. Parker. This one was recommended to me by Rebecca Coffindaffer. Rebecca wrote, where is it? Oh, it's behind me. Rebecca wrote Crown Chasers and Thronebreakers. I have not read Thronebreakers yet. I have not read it yet. I want to, but I have not. Crown Chasers is one of my favorite YA sci-fis. I just love the main character of Alyssa so much in Crown Chasers. Her kind of arrogance, but her vulnerability at the same time. I think that we give male characters or men characters a lot of leeway for them to be really arrogant, but have this inner heart of gold. Or like, oh, they're super arrogant, but like, you know? But Alyssa in Crown Chasers manages to be arrogant and to have kind of those qualities, but also have this vulnerability and have this ability to have this vulnerability peek out from her, and in a way that is so endearing. But anyway, Rebecca recommended to me Beware the Wild, which was even creepier than The Dead and the Dark, okay? I've never been the one who's kind of like, oh, let's explore that swamp. Let's explore that, like, muddy, dark area with lots and lots of bugs probably. I've never been that person, and after reading the Beware the Dark, I never will be that person. Beware the Dark is kind of this swamp mystery fantasy, and it like elevates that real hard. Beware the Dark is also has this fantasy or has this creepiness like element from the beginning, because basically her brother is gone, they don't know where he is, and all of a sudden like she's the only one who remembers he exists. I felt like that little twist, which actually is very big, but that twist from the very beginning instantly puts you on guard, and that on guard kind of vibe only increases as you keep going, because it just is like the atmosphere is swampy and creepy. I just can't say it better than that. It is just one of those supernatural horror tinged books, I think, which is such a book that like kind of makes you viscerally, as I think about it, I'm viscerally being like, oh, I would just not want to be in this book at all, like, period. Please get me out of there. But I think what I also really loved about Beware the Wild, besides the fact that the setting and the atmosphere were just like so expertly done, is it really talks about what we'll do for family and what we will sacrifice to escape. Oftentimes I feel like we have this idea that when someone is trying to leave, they're trying to leave us. And I think that that idea can be very hard to grapple with. But Beware the Wild does that. It does that so well in a variety of different ways, which I cannot talk about because spoilers. But it talks about that, and it also talks about how we are going to be individually motivated for family and the sacrifices we will be making for family and friends and love and found family. Like, just sacrifice as a general theme in Beware the Wild. Very on point. It just is one of those books where it asks you kind of what deal you will make for the people you love. That's where I'm going to leave it for that one on Beware the Wild. But it was one of these I wasn't sure what to pair these two books with, but I'm so glad I ended up pairing them together. I had a kind of general idea of how I would pair things first. So for example, in the book's parts you've already seen, you know, The Transition Baby and One True Loves were both kind of adult fiction, so I thought that was a good pairing. And then Waste Time and The Paper Menagerie actually were translated / written by the same person, and they were also kind of dealing with this sci-fi worlds. And then The Dead in the Dark and Beware the Wild both seemed a little bit creepy, but I don't think I was ready for how creepy they'd be and how well they would work together, because I think they both really well challenge and explore this idea about sacrifice and for family, and also protection versus kind of like a lack of knowledge and a lack of transparency. Because I think that a lot of the times you can think, oh, I'm protecting someone by not telling them the truth, but that's actually always not the thing to do, but it's always the thing that we end up doing. So that brings me to the end of my 12 authors, 12 books. As I said, I'm on track. I feel really good about that. And also, I just feel so happy that these two books paired so well. Please check out these books. Please let me know if you've read these books. Also, if you have, I'm gonna regret asking this. If you have other favorite swamp mystery, swamp fantasy, swamp maybe horror, please leave them down below. I'm very intrigued by it, while I also know that that will 100% give me nightmares. So I don't really know what I'm unleashing on myself right now. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next part of this 12 authors, 12 book series. Alright, bye!